The Republican Party used to pride itself on being a big tent party. We wanted as many people as possible to come together under the guiding principles of small government, free trade, and personal responsibility. At least that's how it was when I was running the Republican National Committee. OGs like myself have watched it transform from a big tent to a little tent to now no tent at all. Now, there's only one thing required to enter modern Republican politics: complete and total subservience to Donald Trump. How else should we interpret House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy's endorsement of Trump-backed primary challenger running for Liz Cheney's congressional seat? Cheney apparently sealed her anti-GOP fate after condemning Trump in the wake of the Capitol insurrection and participating in the January 6th committee. According to Politico, Trump's even pushing for changes to Wyoming's election laws so that Democrats and independents, the two people likely to support Cheney for standing up to Trump, they can't vote for her in the upcoming GOP primary. This is all in fealty to Trump, at his behest. But don't let Kevin McCarthy off the hook, folks. He's abandoning a former member of the House Republican leadership here, just because Trump wanted him to. That's the thing. And of course, that's why the GOP is the no-tent party. They're not about policy debates or discussing the role of government anymore. They're just about Trump. Another case in point, South Carolina, where Republican Nancy Mace is in the immediate aftermath of the insurrection. Congresswoman Mace had said Trump had no future in the party. Since then, she's tried to make herself Trumpier to get back into his good graces, but it hasn't worked. And now she's facing a tough primary challenge from a Trump-backed candidate, which led her to post this embarrassing video online a couple of weeks ago.
Hey everyone, Congresswoman Nancy Mace here. I'm in front of Trump Tower today, and I remember in 2015 when President Trump announced his run. I was one of his earliest supporters. I supported him again in 2020 because of policies I believed in.
The lesson here for Congresswoman Mace and everyone else with an R after their name: Trump will make you grovel, he will make you beg, but he'll never forgive you. And the rest of us will be left wondering if you, much like the party of which you're a member, stand for anything, or if you're just standing in the middle of an empty field where there used to be a big tent. So much to discuss. I haven't even gotten to the battle between Kevin McCarthy and Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's some hot-ish, let me tell you. Joining me now is MSNBC political analyst David Jolly. He's a former Republican congressman from Florida and the national chairman of the Serve America movement. Kurt Bardella, he's an advisor to the DNC and DCCC, as well as a former spokesman for the House Oversight Committee. And, oh, yes, here she is, Stephanie Miller, host of the Stephanie Miller Show on Sirius XM. Oh, yeah, we got the group in the house tonight. So we're going to start with David. David, the State of the Union address is coming up in a little over a week, and you know how that goes, and you know what that means. What do you think the State of the Union for the Republican Party is right now?
Well, look, politically speaking, it's a fairly easy spot. They're in the opposition, so they just get to oppose and suggest that the world would be better under their leadership. I think Democrats face some real challenges. You know, we saw in Virginia that even though Democrats have worked hard on some of their top priorities, they're on the right side of history when it comes to voting rights with accountability for January 6th. The voters are still in a different place than where perhaps the Democrats might be exactly. They're focused on inflation. They're focused on the pandemic and all the regulations around that. So it will be interesting to see how Biden frames the night, because then it's a layup for Republicans. They're just going to oppose it. As you said in your opener, this is no longer a party about real ideas. This is a party about following the personality of one man, and where that falls short is peddling grievance and culture wars to anger an already angry base.
So, Kurt, I want to get your reaction to Kevin McCarthy backing a primary challenger to Liz Cheney, someone who used to be a prominent member of the GOP leadership. Her conservative bona fides are well established, given her family's pedigree in Republican politics. All of this pushing Liz aside is to keep that base happy by McCarthy. Is that just the height of cowardice from the minority leader, or is there more going on here?
Well, I think it signals, Michael, that really now we have a party that if you could have the perfect conservative voting record, which Liz Cheney pretty much has, and that's not good enough to get the support of your own leadership. That's how far gone the Republican Party is. I can't imagine, I'm sure nor can you, someone like John Boehner doing this to someone in his own conference back in the days when you were chairman of the party and I was a Republican working on Capitol Hill for Republicans. Watching Kevin McCarthy send out the signal that no longer is your voting record the number one thing that's going to determine whether he supports you or not. It's whether or not you just pledge unyielding fealty to Donald Trump and whether or not you still go along with the big lie, whether you excuse an act of domestic terrorism on January 6th. Liz Cheney's only crime here in the Republican Party is that she wants to get the truth of what happened on January 6th. That's enough for Kevin McCarthy and the Republican conference to say, we're not going to get behind you. We're not going to stand with you. We're going to break a tremendous amount of precedent here and interfere in a primary and go against you. That's how far this party's gone.
Yeah, you know, that's a very important point that Kurt makes, Stephanie, about leadership. And given all that's happening in D.C., it's enough to make you wonder who's really running the party. Who is the leadership?